I've been trying to wait today for a moment when the church is really quiet to record this reflection, and I've just decided to give up. So if you can hear noises coming from in the church or the lounge or the dog in my office, then I apologise. But perhaps you've had a day like that when there's something that you've wanted to focus on, and there's just been the cruel reality that the world just carries on regardless. The universe doesn't care. And yet somehow maybe that reflects something that we see in this verse today. We're journeying through Lent, aren't we, through Psalm 22, the song of the cross and the crown. And there's a moment when David sees something with pinpoint accuracy. Right at that moment of Jesus' struggle and suffering, at the foot of the cross, there are soldiers joking and jostling for his clothes. The world carries on beneath his feet, oblivious, regardless. This is the song of the cross and the crown. It's a fascinating thing, isn't it? When we read the scriptures, there's plenty of things we would love it to include. There's certain things we'd love to be in the know about. And yet the details that are there for a reason. Why, centuries before the cross, does David include this detail? Seemingly insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Why is it so important that it's noticed and noted at the moment of his struggle, his suffering and his death, and then recorded by Matthew, Mark, Luke and John? Well, I think that the detail is there because it highlights three things for us. The first is that it highlights the suffering that strips away. There is a suffering, isn't there, that robs us, not just of our appearance or the appearance we would like to have, but of our dignity, of our sense of identity, of our personhood. Maybe for some of us right now, we know the suffering of something being stripped away from us, either cruelly and quickly or slowly and painfully. Something that was once ours and part of us has been taken away. There's a type of suffering that kind of leaves us bare, that leaves us cold, that leaves us vulnerable. And coupled to that cold reality that we see at the cross of a world that carries on, of a world that is indifferent to our struggle and our pain, a world that doesn't understand what we're going through. And maybe for some of us today, as we're listening to this, we've been in places that we doubt other people could understand. We've been through things which are so difficult. We struggle to imagine anyone can identify with us. Well, this moment, this song, this stripping away shows us that there is a God who understands what it is like to be stripped bare, who understands the suffering that strips away. Secondly, it's a seam that stitches the ages together. These small details, not just of garments being divided, but of lots being cast. It's incredibly prophetic. You could possibly read a prophecy and try to pretend that it was you, try and enact it. What you can't predict is what others will do, and what you certainly can't predict is what your enemies will do in that moment. Yeah, the detail of this is not broad brushstroke stuff. It's intrinsic, tiny details that are being prophesied that kind of sew the ages together. There's a story that is being told. There's a tapestry that is being woven, and the suffering of God is integral. It's not added on later, it's woven into the fabric of the story of our reality. Which means that even in our suffering, and even at times when we feel like things are stripped away and nobody understands, there is a God who knows what he is doing. A God who's not just responding to the chaos of our story or responding to the chance acts of history. A God who is not random, but a God who has a detailed plan for his world, for my life and for yours. And I'd love to say that suffering isn't part of that, and yet we see here that there is a seam that stitches all of that together in the suffering, the sacrifice, the love of Jesus. And then thirdly, we see that this is a sacrifice that covers all of our shame. I don't know if you caught this symbolism, but it's really clear here, isn't it? That the Jesus who is left with nothing gives us everything. That those who are responsible for his suffering and his death walk away literally clothed in his robes. It's a powerful picture, isn't it? A powerful symbol of the great exchange that takes place in the sacrifice of Jesus. Even for people who don't yet fully understand it, for people who don't yet fully appreciate it, this exchange is being offered. We see a sacrifice that covers, that clothes us in Jesus' clothes, in Jesus' righteousness, in Jesus' identity. You might remember the moment from Les Miserables where the lead character, Jean Valjean, steals from a character who's taken him in, known as the bishop. When the police catch Jean Valjean and take him back to the bishop's home and says that Jean Valjean has invented this story that they were given to him as a gift, the bishop turns around and says to the policeman, yes, that's right, and then gives him even more. In some versions of the musical, the bishop actually takes off his coat and gives it to Jean Valjean as well. And we have a response to that where Valjean starts to sing, what spirit comes to move my life? Is there another way to go? And he wrestles with grace and being shown grace. And can he use this grace to start a new life and to start again? That exchange is beautiful. It's an old film called The Robe, which imagines the future life of this soldier. What happened to him? What did he do with that robe? Did he ever realize what he'd been given? And this Easter, maybe God just wants to say to you again, what are you doing with this grace that has been given to you? How are you living in my robes? Do you know what has been done for you? And see, there are times, aren't there, when suffering can leave us stripped bare. But there's also true that sometimes it's not what's done to us, it's what we do. Sometimes our sin can leave us feeling incredibly ashamed and vulnerable and exposed. And there, in those moments, Jesus comes to us again as we turn to him in repentance and wraps his robes around us, clothes us in his identity, his grace, his love, his hope. So wherever you are today and whatever you're going through, know that God understands the suffering that strips away. Whatever pain and confusion there is in your life, know that there is a seam that stitches the ages together. God knows what he's doing, and God is not finished with you yet. And finally, know in the good days and the bad days, in the up days and the down days, that there is a sacrifice that covers all of our shame. This is the song of the cross and the crown.